Got it. Is it up? All right. Yeah, right. All right.
This meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Lewis. Present. Trustee Franklin. Present. Trustee Bowles. She did say that
She just sent the email saying she would be unable to attend this evening.
Trustee McFadden. Present. Trustee Jenkins Bell. Present. Trustee Brooks. Present. Mayor Rivera.
Here. Staff, I'm ready to nomination.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Brooks, second by Lewis. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Second.
Lewis, they were singing off.
Trustee Lewis. Trustee Franklin. Trustee McFadden. Trustee James Bell. Trustee Brooks. Mayor Rivera.
Both sides. General public comments. Okay, come on, we don't go through this. Ms. Wiggins. Good evening, how are you?
Good evening, and I could be a lot better. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, this one.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I am here tonight on a very pressing issue. This afternoon, at about 4 o'clock, my daughter gets home from work. There are 4 gentlemen that's coming through the gangway from White Oak to Pinot. They proceed to say something. She's like, "What are y'all doing? What's this about?" Anyway, long story short, they pulled out a gun and shot at her 4 times. My daughter, Lolita Perkins. I just told y'all that her house was shot up, 12 bullets through the upstairs bedroom of my grandson. I have 2 grandsons that live there, one in college, one at home. She has 2 grandchildren of her own, my great-grandchildren, that she sometimes picks up from daycare and brings home. This could have been a terrible tragedy, but nothing but the grace of God. I just know we cannot continue in this manner. You all are sitting here, y'all hear these stories, and then y'all just look, and nothing is getting done. You know, we had a police chief, but we don't have one anymore. And crime has raised to the roof. Every day we're hearing more and more about Metro, cars being stolen, cars being broken into, homes getting shot up. This is terrible. That's my child. How do you think I feel tonight, knowing that that could have been the death of her? I lost my husband to a 15-year-old for gunfire, shooting for no apparent reason. I lost a nephew a few years ago, same thing, no apparent reason. I'm not getting ready to stand here and watch you all sit here and do nothing. Y'all need more cops. Y'all need the chief back. 2016, this board, not y'all, voted to let those 7 cops go. Yours truly and 3 others. And we have been having nothing but blood on our hands ever since. Now, I don't know what it's gonna take. Ms. Scott, you're in that seat now. You're at the helm of this. We need action. And I don't need just a bunch of blank stares. Yeah, I need your prayers. My baby is out there right now in that car, shaking and crying. This makes no sense. Now, I don't know who's behind it, but it better stop. And that's all I got to say.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? There we go. Thank you,
Ms. Williams for letting us know. I had came back from the doctor and my phone was ringing off the hook. And I found out what happened. And what I did was I immediately called Ms. Scott. According to our ordinance, Ms. Scott is the public safety director. And I went over with her and actually we had just got off the phone 45 minutes ago. We talked about this. What needs to happen, and this is from a 2-decade veteran officer, to secure or make you feel secure to be a resident of University Park. And the reason why I say this is that every municipality does it. We need to do it. We need to start doing it now. Is that during the course of the shift, I think they work from 5 to 5, then tomorrow they're from 5 to 5. So my recommendation was every hour, an officer come by that house. If there are individuals out there, they are to be checked and ID'd, and the proper measures be taken if they're underage for curfew or they're carrying a firearm. I spoke and I also told Ms. Scott, I know when it comes to the police chief that is definitely a controversy. She had nothing to do with it. As well as those 7 officers that were laid off. The only thing that I can say is that when that did happen, I was very angry because I didn't see it coming. It's very hard for us to recover. And through the law enforcement community, word travels, just like word traveled. By that Thursday night, my phone was ringing about the 3 candidates that was interviewing for chief. I've been around for a long time. And to say that you have to have a stable leadership and you have to have a stable department for a police officer to go to. That was one reason why I left Harvard. No kicks against any former mayors, but when I have somebody coming in that from an organization, I won't even call out the organization name, and you've never been a police officer before and they hand you a badge and tell you my commander, God is good because Country Club Hills was on the phone 2 months later. I said, see you later. And a lot of other officers did the same thing. So the politics are very local when it matters. But I gave that suggestion to Ms. Scott, and I think that is the best solution. And that whoever is the liaison to the department, that they give the times, they log the times so that Ms. Scott can know. And if it's no different if it was a police chief. If I was your police chief, that would be my direction. So right now, that's the direction that she would give to the police department to help your daughter, Lolita, feel secure. And if that needs to be extended to a week, board, I don't think it's a problem for, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I just said, for at least for the next week.
I don't want nobody to have to deal with what I'm gonna do, and I don't want to see nobody kid getting killed out there. That shit has the wrong nerve in my
So
spine.
for 2 weeks, Mayor?
That shit needs- I mean, that stuff needs to stop.
Okay, so for that house, Ms. Scott, if whoever the shift commander is, let them know that they are to log in a time, date and time for Ms. Perkins' house that they have traveled per the manager and the board of trustees for that woman's safety. That came from the top. Okay? I yield my time, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Morgan, you got comments?
My name is Mildred Morgan. I'd like to know from Ms. Scott, is it your responsibility to, or whose responsibility to make sure that the meetings are taped. The last meeting that we had was not taped. Robert Rules of Order says that the meeting should be taped. Is that your responsibility?
Speaking of the last meeting
Yeah.
that we had, that when we went straight into executive session?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's your responsibility.
yes, you can put that on me.
For the record, Ms. G. Jones, can you please put this in the record? That the meetings are sometimes not taped. I don't know what the problem is, whether Ms. Jenkins is here or whether this gentleman here or not, but it's important that the residents here in University Park get the information that goes along with our village hall meetings. And when our village hall meetings are not taped, and nobody here on this board, none of you ask to have the tapes meeting, are concerned about the tapes being meeting, that is indeed a problem. From this point on, the meetings need to be taped. I don't care if it's a 2-second meeting or what, they need to be taped. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. That concludes our public comment section. 1A. First and third reading of the University Park Village Code, Illinois. Authorizing distribution of surplus from the special tax allocation
Can't hear you, sir.
of redevelopment project area number 3. Is there a motion?
So.
Moved by trustee Lewis,
Second.
second by trustee McFadden.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
For the record, I did request, these were documents that I requested for the bank. A lot of it could not be loaded up to the Dropbox. However, I had been on the phone as well as seen a couple emails that reflect that the amount that, what,
85,
say it,
the 51128.
correct. And then also at the end of the day, the village gets about 200 about it. And for the record, I know my concern was money being taken out. I just would like to say to the fellow board members that I went so far as to even call. No, that's what I wanted to see about something else, but she's not gonna be able to make it. The Sperry Group. There we go, there we go. That's that age. I just turned 50. How is it that my mind is?
It's just like the eyeglasses, man. You read one day before you know it.
Is that what's wrong? I thought it just, okay, they look like little ants. Okay. So I did, so for the record, there has not been any money moved out of that account. For the record. You got it, Ms. Millie? For the record, because I'm watching. So no money has been moved out of that account. So I just wanted that, Madam Clerk, if you can make sure you write that.
Okay.
I'm watching them tips now. That's just one tip. That's just one tip. We still got some more to look at. Nope, no money been taken out of tip 3. I yield my time on this.
All right. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Lewis. Trustee Franklin.
Both sides.
Trustee McFadden.
Both sides.
Trustee Jenkins Bell. Trustee Brooks.
Both sides.
Mayor Redad.
Both sides, fiscal responsibility and declaring a surplus.
Trustee Jenkins Bell.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, motion carried. And that's ordinance 2023-0.
All right, thank you all. Attach these microphones, we gotta get up to date. Next time. Attached for your approval is a listing of general operating expenses for the Village of University Park that occurred on November 30th, 2022 to December 20th, 2022. General Fund, 197,911.67. Road and Bridge, 4,648.90. Town Center, 11,314.17. Capital Project, Fund, 165,804.51. Tip 5, or 1250. Payroll Fund, 5,841.32. With the grand total of 385,933.07. Is there a motion? Moved by Trustee Franklin, second by Trustee Lewis. Trustee Brooks.
I know we spoke about it. I just want to see New Year, the golf course. This month is 117,000 in the operation fund, operating order we gave. Are we going to, they haven't been open because we had 2 50-degree days and Deer Creek was open. Yeah. But I rode right past our golf course and it was one little black car out there. 4 hours later, he left. So how long we gonna keep going like this? I guess it's for this.
We can't hear you.
No, I'm just looking through these figures.
So-
Just had a workshop on the golf course on-
So the mayor said for the record is that we'll have a workshop on it that the contract is supposed to potentially end this month. So, okay, that's all I have for bills payable.
Is there any reason why?
Trustee James Bell? No, okay.
Is there any
Roll
reason-
call, Madam.
Is there a reason why we can't get, the bills payable?
Trustee Franklin. Trustee.
I need that. Both sides.
Trustee James Bell. Trustee Brooks.
Votes no.
Mayor Lee.
Both sides to pay the bills. All
May I
right.
have a copy of
Is
it?
there a motion for adjournment? Wait, oh, I'm sorry.
May I
Yeah.
have a copy of?
You can have mine, Miss Millie. You can have mine. You can have mine, Miss Millie.
It needs to be a part of the, packet that we get every, meeting.
Okay.
This
Ms. Morgan, Ms. Clerk's like to address you.
If you would like a copy of the agenda packet, you can have it after it's like over here. Talk about the recognized by the mayor, brought to the board for discussion. It's not a public record. Once this is done, so if you would like a packet after the meeting, just let me know.
Just let you know?
Yes,
Okay.
and I'll bring it with you, and as soon as it goes.
Please bring it with you.
Yeah,
Because
I'm gonna bring it with you.
I'm gonna want, the bills payable. I want
I'm
a
gonna
packet.
get the entire packet.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to be, give some thanks, a couple thanks and a point. I want to give my condolences to the Richardson family, you know, Denise Richardson. Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me, Miss Millie?
Yes, sir.
You can hear me? Okay. Denise Richardson, her husband Curtis Richardson had passed away. His funeral was Saturday. As you know, they were part of the community for many years. Yes, he did. He suddenly, he had cancer though. And
That's his cousin.
yes, Curtis McMullen cousin, yeah. I was just at their house the day before Thanksgiving because they felt uncomfortable about aqua water changing meter in their house, and he was ill. Denise wanted someone there, and I offered to sit there, you know, to be present because right now people still do not trust aqua water. So we like to give the condolences and you know, to the Richardson family, and you know, when you see her, you know, give her a nice hug because she's, you know, staying strong as possible. Next, I would like to thank Trustee Franklin. It was a while back, but I remember he asked me to come to the mentorship up at the school. And I got the opportunity to speak in the law enforcement class. What I liked about that moment was that I decided to show as a shock factor what my back looked like in x-rays. And the point that we were making, in fact, Trustee Franklin, you had some excellent men in there that were police officers. All of them, and I would say we all of that part of that generation that we're leaving. I'm saying this now, and I hear you say it like what we're gonna do when you leave, because you know, you all technically, if I'm not mistaken, you're Generation X, right? Or you're Gen X, right? Right. Right. I think you're Gen X like I am. You're right, we're right there. And once our generation leaves, I'm concerned because look what's happening now with everything that's going on. We're trying our hardest to embrace these young men. That's what was the beauty of me at the age of 23, being a youth officer in the city of Harvard. And that's how I can be 50 years old and people still call me on my village phone saying, Detective Brooks, remember me? And I'm saying, who? And they're like in their 30s and saying, you taught me there, and blah, blah, blah. And I would like to come do this for University Park. What I'm afraid of is that those things that you all created at that event won't be no more if we don't get more men in a younger generation to be inspired to do what you did. I was touched by it. So I would like to say that what you're doing, I appreciate. When you have a touch dealing with kids in school, that's a touch you just can't have. That's the same way when I was the youth officer. Mayor Graves would say, and I don't care what it is, in his 4 years term, for 8 years, he'll sit there and say, send Brooks, because everybody just don't have it. So that's why the community said, send Tutu. And so what you all did was wonderful, and I enjoyed speaking. And in saying that, we had a kid that was shot. It's hard for me to let go what I've done over 2 decades as a youth officer. You all don't know what I've seen. Some of us have PTSD because we see so much and I understand what other officers are going through, and you talk to them. This is a disc player, right? This disc player came into my possession in 2003. I won't say the kid's name. He was shot and killed. I just seen him 4 hours before his death. I was trying to put him into the system because he needed help. He was shot by his best friend, who I also was trying to put in the system because he was in need of that help. And we're talking about the Restored Juvenile Act that we were steady pushing so hard. And I have to take my hat off to Judge Stutley when he was on the bench, because I could pick up the phone and I had respect to Cook County to detain that child if he had a gun or I needed to put him away. But this kid, I couldn't do anything because he didn't do anything serious enough. I put him into programs. I also had him on a station adjustment, which is somewhat like a probation. And I remember saying his name as he left down the hallway. And my partner, Detective Coleman, was standing right with me. And he said, I told him, I said, make sure you go home. Because you're supposed to be seeing Stutley in about 2 weeks for something he did wrong. He said, Detective Brooks, I'll be all right. He was a Tupac fan. He was rapping Tupac going down home. I said, yeah, okay. Be in that house when I rode by. By 8 o'clock, they were at a party, and his own friend shot him in the chest. His own friend turns around, pleads for the homicide. He turns himself in, gives me a hug, and said, Detective Brooks, I should have listened to you. The crazy thing about it, he gets right back out, and you all may have heard of it. He was part of a major robbery that just happened in Joliet. So we gotta stop these kids now. But I keep this CD because his mother would not come. He left his book bag at the school in his locker. She wouldn't retrieve it. She said, Detective Brooks, keep it. I understand what you were trying to do. So this sits at my bedside every night. You don't believe me? Just ask Aaron. But it's my reminder that as long as I'm trustee, we got to do something. We have to do something. Some things, it's not in our fault. It's not all, we can't predict it. But the best thing I'll say in closing is that, ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna take a minute, but we need to put more policemen on the street, stabilize the leadership of police chief, but we have to have a youth division. Some people had disagreed upon it when I came up on this board, and they probably listening. None of y'all, but I'm sure they probably listening to this video. This is why you need a youth officer, along with TAC units to come out certain time of the day to tackle the crime that I seen back in the 90s, the late 90s come back. What's crazy is it's not the grown head crackheads that's doing it. It's the 18, the 16, the 14-year-olds that's stealing 27 cars in a weekend, busting the window out at our Family Dollar, taking a gun and just shooting everything up. We got to catch up with the times. The Safety Act, I'm gonna be honest, my personal opinion, I don't care about it. We do what we got to do to keep University Park first. And as long as I'm trustee, I'm always going to advocate the budget did not change. I think the budget is still at $3 million. We just need to put the bodies there. But with that, I want to say to the family of our lost child, from a child that's lost in Chicago. To me, I'm gonna be honest. When I die, I just know it's be one thing else I ain't gotta hear or relive in my brain of all the horrors that I seen when I worked for the city of Hartford. I yield my time here.
I'd like to thank all the men who came out to support our young men in our mentoring event that we held at Fremont High School. I'd like to thank the Fremont School District for opening their doors for the young men within our community and surrounding communities. I'd like to thank the two men that sit here today with us that took the time out of their days to participate. Thank Mayor Rudez for sitting on the panel that we entitled Guilty by Association. And thank Trustee Brooks for sitting in on our circle panel, in which we entitled Law Enforcement as a way to help rebuild the relationship between community and law enforcement. Children really had the opportunity to hear stories. Mayor, I thank you for sharing your personal story about your son, which I know was very difficult to do, but very impactful for the young men to hear. Brooks, I thank you for sharing a picture of your injury as a law enforcement officer and all the officers that were able to embrace our young men at the event. It's an event that had over 100 children, 100 young men, and also 100 grown men. Very powerful event.
Historical.
And then the very following weekend, I'd like to thank Trustee Karen for coming out to, we had an event where we hosted our young ladies as a way to give them some basic self-defense mechanisms as we've had a couple abduction attempts amongst our young ladies on bus stops within our community and surrounding communities. And then I'd like to say condolences to the family of Jordan, young man from our community, lost his life, as well as Alonzo, who was shot Sunday evening. I received a phone call, rushed to Roseland Hospital. I heard that some of my young men were involved. Then when I left the hospital, God put it on my heart to go directly to see Lolita. That's what his daughter's daughter. For some reason. Sat in her car, had a conversation with her. I hear this happened today. Spent Monday helping the high school respond to ensure that the students had a triage of social workers and psychologists on staff. Grief counselors, therapeutic dogs, and other forms of response for our children. So I've been saying it for a while. So I'm in tune. Dealing with a lost generation. And the things that we need to put in place need to happen immediately and as fast as possible. We talked about cameras. Remember, like yesterday, somebody saying we don't have those type of problems in our community. Why would we put up cameras? And not even 2 months later, a young man was murdered. We didn't want the Park District, which could have provided programming for our children. And even if the Park District is not the answer is not, was not the answer, it's not to do anything. State of emergency. Continue to ring the alarm. Continue to do everything I can do. I'm not running for office. I just had 2 events as if I'm a park district. It's not political to me. In fact, one of the main reasons I don't want to run is because I want to do what God has called me to do without all the hate. So as we continue to fight this uphill battle, as I alarmed everyone 2 months and months ago, a lot of guns on the streets. There are a lot of misguided young men and young ladies who need our support. My very first meeting as a trustee, I called out the men in the community, and I continue to do so throughout my time up here. And I finally got to a place where some men have responded, and I'm grateful for it. But it's so much more that we need, so much more men, so many more men and women that need to get a part of it. Because I don't believe it's just the police department that should be able to take care of this issue. I think there's so many more people in this community that should step up to help the police department. Because in my opinion, the police department can't handle it themselves. It's bigger than just the police department. And even with the mentoring event, you know, I have people who critique and say, why even, what is that going to do? You know, people critique everything you do.
I love it.
And would rather not do anything.
I think it was fantastic.
So it's only the beginning of what I plan to do. Because as long as I'm in this community, I'm gonna continue to fight. I'm gonna continue to have an impact. So just wanted to send our condolences to the family of the young man who lost his life. Condolences to the family of the young man who was shot. Condolences to the other 3 young men who were in the vehicle. And just know that we're gonna continue to fight. We're gonna continue to fight. Thank you.
And trustee, we're gonna pray for the shooter, because that's another misguided youth out here. We gotta do that. We gotta do that. We gotta pray for those families just when it's set up. I appreciate all you're doing out there. That's why I'm there. That's why I'm there. At the high school Monday, it spoke volumes.
Yeah.
It spoke volumes. Us to see them little kids coming out of that classroom, falling down and opening up their minds and talking, and just, not them don't have nobody they can talk to. That's the problem. Not them don't have nobody they can talk to. And that was one of the main questions.
And I want to thank Ms. Stevie as well for being there.
Oh, man, no doubt. No doubt.
We attended the debrief at 6 o'clock in the morning at the high school. And then we went up to the alternative school. And then we went to visit some of the young men who were in school. I mean, we dedicated our entire day to try to just let them know that they have some support and that we here for them. So those are my comments.
I would like, that's what I wanted to thank Tutu, the mayor, Keeley, for being at the high school on Monday. I had to come up there to see about my son. And when my son found out who the kid was, he kind of broke down in their office. And one of the counselors was there with the dog that would teach my son. So he got a chance to speak to some counselors. So I just want to thank you guys for doing what you do and helping the kids. And the mentoring thing on Martin Luther King's birthday, that was awesome. I love it. I love it. Keep doing what you're doing too. You're alive for this community, and just keep doing it. Thank you, Mayor, and keep it.
Thank you.
The last meeting, when I came in, my daughter was talking about, she's a junior at the high school, and she was talking about how wonderful the mentoring program was for the young guys, because, you know, a lot of other friends were talking, you know, and discussing. And one thing I can say about Trustee Franklin is he has been dedicated, from what I can see and getting to know him, to this community for many, many, many years when it comes to our youth. So while I was watching the news and the show came up, you know, the news reported the incident, my first thought was to Trustee Franklin, because I knew that he knew these children, and Miss Keeley as well, because they spend so much time at the high school mentoring children that don't have, people don't understand the times of change, and parents are not the parents that they used to be. Yes, and they don't have the support systems that they need. And I am so grateful for this board, and particular individuals on this board that put children first, not just their own children, but they pour into a lot of children in this community to make sure that the children, and ensure that the children are safe, they're fed, because I've had instances when COVID was existing, and my daughter and I, the school set up for them to go all the way to the administrative building to pick up breakfast. for themselves. A lot of children didn't have rods, and their parents were gone, you know, trying to keep a roof over their head. So I took it upon myself to feed the children every day from Monday to Thursday for a complete week. And in doing that, you know, I got a little tired. One day I was over in the area of where you go is like, I saw some children eating out the garbage can. And it was unreal. It was unreal. So it exists here in University Park. It does. And it's not a game. And when you're hungry and you don't have anyone to turn to, and you don't have the support that you need, you get into mayhem. You do all types of things just for everyday survival. And we're not understanding that this is plaguing our community. We have no social services. We have none of that. And so with that being said, we can't reach out to these children, not just on a youth basis, but we need to reach out to the parents that don't have the things as well. Everyone is not as fortunate as we may be. So we have to hold the whole entire community in our arms. And we took an oath to do that, and that's what we should continue to do. And when saying this, it's not just Coach Tutu and the mayor, myself, and Coach Brooks and Janelle, and the whole entire board, Karen and Shirley. You have residents that are actively involved in these children's lives each and every day, as well as we are. We need to come together as a community and stop all the bickering and the fighting and the hate, because it's not doing anything to assist us with moving the village forward and taking care of our children. And yes, they do need things to do. Yes, they do need to support Pastor Henry in reference to his faith. God, what is it called? Faith Church, City of Hope, City of Faith, because that's the dream of his. And I think that it will come, and it's going to come. We have to come together. Times have changed. Things are changing each and every day consistently. And we have to adapt to the change that's coming along. They have guns. Our police officers, not a night that does not go by, because it's 11 of them. And I'm nervous. I'm scared, because we want them to go home. We want them to see their families and their children. So this is where we're at, and we're gonna have to do things, and we can't wait. All of this wasteful spending, trips, doing all of these things that we don't need to be doing, and we need to be pouring all of our resources into our youth and our public safety. We need to do this. It's not an option now, it's necessary. So Coach Tutu, I am praying for you and your family, and please be strong. I send my condolences out to all the children that were involved. And I just ask that this is unspoken evil over this situation. And I wish and pray that it would just go away and we can move this village forward and take care of our babies.
You know, Dr. Martin Luther King said injustice for one is injustice for all. I grew up believing, don't just talk about it, let's do something. Also read where Albert Einstein said, the world is a dangerous place to live. There are evil people. But what's worse is those who sit around and do nothing.
Thank you.
We have problems in our communities, all of them. And if I could grow a conscience in the hearts of our young people, I would do it in an instant. All of this that's going on, the killings, the shootings, the robberies, our police can't stop it. they were not there. We've got to put parental control back, give it to the parents. We cannot, as parents, sit back and say, they should do something. No, we should do something. I am devastated. My condolences to the Nixon family, the Richardson family. I know the pain of losing someone. I lost my grandson, very productive young man, to gun violence. We learn to live with the pain with God. The pain gets easier, but it never goes away. So we have to stop waiting for somebody else to take care of our children and do it ourselves. And in saying that, I also believe, give me my roses while I'm here. So everybody can, if you appreciate what this young man, trustee, coach Tutu Franklin, can you stand to your feet and applause? There were a few other things I wanted to say, but I think, no, as I heard somebody say, the end.
Real quick, let's adjourn. But parents, if your children and young men are coming in with new shoes and clothes and wads of money and expensive jewelry and things of that nature, ask them where it's coming from. I know it's a challenge for you. I know it's hard to, those are our loved ones, these are our children, but we cannot continue to harvest those who hide guns, who are hurt other folks out there. So start looking around. Don't be afraid to be old school. My grandma, my parents looked through my drawers and stuff when I wasn't around. They looked under my bed to ensure that things were the way they were supposed to be. So just look around. They coming in with the new Jordans on, and new little jackets and new shoes, and you know they're going to high school and they don't have a job. Just sit back and take a look and think about it. Reach out to someone if you can, all right? Thanks. I know it's not hard to do with our loved ones, but it's necessary to save a lost generation. May I have a motion? Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
Would you relate thanks to our first responders, our police, all of them are men, and all of our leaders? Thank you.
See, sometimes all the evil's gonna work out for the good of this community, because as long as we work together, we win. I have a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Move, second. Moved by Brooks, second by the entire board. All in favor? All opposed? None? Thank you. I have a